Ah yes, a rose by any other name smells just as sweet. Or does it? I mean, if you told a person who had never seen a rose before that it was called a fart flower, they probably wouldn't be inclined to smell it. So names do matter for sure. So if you've ever wondered how and why I chose my channel name, Weavers of Eternity, let me explain. But first, I'm gonna have to go back to the beginning.
In the beginning,
I started doing YouTube as a hobby back in 2012, and my first channel had monetization issues, so I actually restarted in 2014 and started taking it seriously. Anyhow, at the time, I was really into a movie that came out a few years earlier called Wanted. So this movie starred James McAvoy, or is it McAvoy? I don't know. His name always makes me think of Chips Ahoy. Anyhow, it stars him, Angelina Jolie, and Red from Shawshank Redemption. Now this movie to this day is still a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, as it's not the best movie in the world and it is kind of ridiculous, but it is very entertaining. And to sum it up, James McChips Ahoy is a nobody who finds out that his father is part of a secret society of assassins and learns to become a master assassin himself and ultimately become somebody. So they determine who they assassinate by consulting the Loom of Fate, or something ridiculous sounding like that because it is ridiculous. But anyhow, their secret society is named the Fraternity, and they were a group of weavers, and I thought that sounded really cool. So originally I was considering the Fraternity of Weavers, but that sounded like it was kind of hard to say. And at the same time, I was researching a symbol for a logo, and I looked at different historic symbols and came across the Endless Knot. So the Endless Knot is rooted in many different philosophies and religions, and what stood out to me was that one of the meanings was that it represented the union of wisdom and method. So again, something I just thought sounded cool. So I'll link more info about it in the description in case you're curious. And the Endless Knot is also known as the Eternal Knot. So with that in mind, I took the Weavers part from Wanted and then the Eternity part from the Endless or Eternal Knot and came up with Weavers of Eternity. And looking back on this channel name, do I regret it? Sometimes, I'll say sometimes. I think it's still a bit of a mouthful to say, and it doesn't really describe what my channel is about, which is kind of why I added, Paracord after it to help with the whole SEO thing. But at this point, I feel like the channel is established enough to not really require a name that's too descriptive. So at this point, of course, I don't regret it. However, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge a couple of other channels that have some pretty cool handles. First off, Why Not? He hasn't uploaded in a long time, but still great content on there and I love the name. And secondly, there's Not Impossible. And when I first read that name, I was kind of like, man, why didn't I think of that? I just love that name because you could end every video with something like, so that's how we make this, and if you ever think you can't, just remember it's not impossible. I mean, come on, that's cool. And with my channel, I mean, what can I say, Well, that's all we have today, so just remember to weave for eternity. I don't know. But to sum up, the 2008 movie Wanted and the Endless Knot symbol are what really created this channel's name. And by the way, if you haven't seen Wanted, do give it a watch if you're in for some sort of guilty pleasure in a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, they bend bullets in the movie. And super mild spoiler, but there is a moment when James McAvoy looks at the camera and says, "What the f*** have you done lately?" I mean, just wow, there actually is a really great motivating message behind it. So anyhow, I'm not complaining about my channel name because, it is what it is at this point. And I'm still super thankful for being able to make the content I do on here and that there are viewers like you that actually watch. And I'm just really, grateful and thankful for being able to do this. So let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the channel name when you first heard it. And also, if you could come up with an alternate name for my channel, what would that be?